All right, it's Doug Cunnington here. Welcome. I'm from Niche Site Project. Today's Friday. It's Q&A Friday. It's 10:04, so I'm only 4 minutes late. So that's pretty good. You know, sometimes it doesn't go that well.
From Niche Site Project.
Oh, and I hear myself
Today's
talking
Friday.
over there.
It's Q&A Friday. It's 10:04.
All right. So I have my alcohol shirt on. It says, I think this may be backwards for the viewers. Sometimes alcohol is the answer. So this is a fun shirt to wear to breweries or bars, and it usually gets a laugh. It's pretty cool. I've had it for a few years, and it's actually, at one point it was like pretty stained. I think unfortunately from some sort of a beer spill, but it's faded quite a bit, so you can hardly. You could still see the stain. But anyway, I'm going to answer questions today. I see that we have a few people on. Let me know in the chat room where you're from. Hey, Dennis, what's up? David's in. Nick, the normal crew. Welcome, gentlemen. It's only 10 a.m. here right now, so I'm going to work a little bit more. But we are going to go to this, it's called the Bozeman Tap Room later today. They have like a rooftop. It's like an old brick building downtown. So they have a rooftop with like some shade, and you can see the mountains over there. It's really cool. And Dennis says he's about to start smoking beef ribs for dinner, and that goes really well with beer. That is really a good idea. I was thinking about smoking something this weekend. There's last weekend I hung out with a couple buddies for like 6 hours, another home brewer in town, actually a few home brewers, and I went over at like 1:30 and we didn't eat until like 8 or 9. But yeah, so we were drinking by the smoker all day. It was pretty fun. So, and yeah, Dennis is in Vancouver, and yeah, David over in Tel Aviv, of course. Okay, so today it's Q&A Friday. I'm not consistent with the days. I'm not consistent showing up, but I'm trying. I'm trying here to get into the routine. So today I'll answer questions. There was one sent in by my man Manoa, and it was interesting because he mentioned he wanted a shout out a little while back. So I was like, hey, cool, you know, I'm into that. The interesting thing, he sent me an email just straight to me, and he just asked some questions. And I answer all the emails, by the way. I answer all the emails, and basically it's unfortunate when I get an individual email asking very specific questions because number one, a lot of times, I mean, if it's a student, right, I answer right away. I mean, like that's what I do. But if it's just a person or a reader and they just ask a question, you know, it's not. I don't answer those as thoroughly. But what I will do, I log them and I'll spend 10 minutes talking about it on something like this. So I told him like super short answer, but I was like, hey, you know what? We want other people to benefit. That's why it's great to ask questions in like a venue like this. So anyway, his question was around testing keywords. So he basically was like, hey, I have some keywords. I want to know which one's best, which one will do better. So his idea was to post an article on 2 domains and watch to see which one did better, and then feed basically feed the site that was doing better with more articles. And his concern is he's created sites before and they really just didn't get much traffic, and he wanted to know how he could test. It's an interesting question, and basically I think it's a waste of time to try and test in that way. Like there's certain pieces of information that we can go and gather, and we can get metrics, and we can study other sites and see like how they're doing on certain keywords. But the amount of time that it would take to actually test 2 keywords against each other in like a really controlled way to get a definitive idea would take too long and it wouldn't be worth it. You're better off just publishing, the keywords, publishing the content, or yeah, publishing the content, not the keywords, and just moving on. I mean, that's the keyword golden ratio helps you identify keywords that are less competitive, that you would have a good chance to rank for, and that probably other people aren't competing with you on those. So you can narrow it down in that way. But at the same time, I mean, you're probably, if you implement 100% the keyword golden ratio, you'll still end up with some keywords that don't work, some that work really well, some that are just kind of okay. And I'm pretty sure if you publish those same articles on different sites, they would react a little differently. There's too many factors involved, and to get a real test, you would have to test it multiple times and do your best to control any of the variables, which of course it's super hard to do, basically impossible to do. So that's the answer to the question, Manoa. Don't worry about testing it, just publish it. The cost of publishing an article or a post on your site is so low, there's no reason not to just publish it. So I hope that answers your question. And David mentions, referring back to the smoking beef ribs, we're talking about smoking pork butts, and we did some brisket as well. And the brisket was really good, by the way, really good. So those are, or that's the answer to that question. Are there any questions in the audience today? Any questions out there in the audience? While I'm waiting for those, I'll mention that my wife is training to run a 10K next weekend, so she did her longer run this morning, 5 miles, and I was like, hey, I'll wake up and run too. So it felt pretty good. We woke up early, we ran 5 miles, and she was able to do that before work, which is nice. So I feel pretty good. I do like running. David says, do you build more than one site in the same niche? Having more than one golf site in order to claim more top 10 spots. I like the idea of doing that. I have not done that myself though. So I definitely like the idea. The thought is you can own multiple positions in the top 10. So I think this stat is from a few years ago. I think it's still relatively accurate though. I think they say something like 40% of the clicks go to position 1, and then it goes down from there. So it's 40%, and then 25, and then 10, and then it just goes down, where the bottom of the first page, I mean, if you're ranked 9 or 10, you're really only getting 1 or 2% of the search volume there. The idea is if you could hold positions say 1 and 3, well, then you're getting a lot more traffic, and you may own both sites. There's no issue with that. There's no rules against owning multiple sites in the same niche. The great part is it's profitable, so that works, and you potentially already know where to get links for it, and you have background knowledge on it. So I think that's a good approach. I know one of my friends, Matt Diggity, at Diggity Marketing, he advocates for that, and I believe he probably does that. He probably owns a lot of sites in the same niches. If you know they're profitable, then why not go after it? All right. Nick says, I've noticed your guest posts for Niche Site Project are on similar type websites. Should you approach competing sites in your niche or not? How do you determine if they're competition or not? That's a really good question, Nick. So can you guys hear that saw, that circular saw across the street, or is the mic filtering that out, by the way? So the guest posts for Niche Site Project are usually on semi-competitive sites. Not always, but usually that's kind of how it works out. Now, I probably wouldn't be able to guest post on like a direct competitor who's also selling a course similar to mine, just because they would think there's too much conflict of interest. Me, though, I would probably let someone guest post because, I mean, some people like me and some people don't like me, and that goes for everyone. So I don't really think it's like too competitive. Now, I should probably like branch out into some other areas and talk more general internet marketing stuff just to get the word out. And honestly, I struggle with growing my email list in a lot of ways. And I know I probably need to go more general or demonstrate my expertise on other sites that aren't like internet marketing, Amazon affiliate, niche site like oriented, and I'd probably do better. Nick, your real question is for niche sites, what should you do? So I think that's your real question. You should not go for competition. You should go for slightly related topic areas and niches, because if you use the old techniques of searching for guest post opportunities and search for, say, guest posting plus keyword, or write for us plus your keyword, most of the time you're just going to end up with like the direct competitor, and they're not even going to open your email. They'll just laugh at you. Actually, I get those pitches often. So yeah, I just delete the email, and if they keep sending them, I actually just mark them as spam, because it's kind of poor form when they're automating emails and just sending out garbage. So anyway, your other question, the follow-up, how do you determine if they're competition or not? I don't know if I have like a strict set of rules on that. A lot of times I'll just look at the site and see, I mean, if you're competing for the same keywords and stuff, like that'll tell you. But if it's like, I don't want to give any specific examples, I always go to the pens and pencils and the office stuff. Like if I was reviewing like pens, actually I think I gave this example before, but it's a good one, so I'll stick with it. So if I was doing pens and writing utensils and stuff, I would probably approach like paper oriented websites, because they're a complement, but they're not directly competing. Now, it may be that the paper site like does have a lot of like writing utensil content, so maybe you have to go like a little more like a little further away from your topic. So maybe you do go to like an office supply site or something like that, which is less related. So hopefully that helps. Okay, and David is mentioning that you're doing you are creating like sites, or at least you're going after the same keywords on different sites to see if you could rank for multiple positions. And Leo's on, says, great seeing you live again. Is 9 a.m. the new streaming time? It kind of fluctuates, but I'm trying to lock in this time again, at least for the next few weeks. I placed it in my calendar, but yeah, generally I've kind of been doing a bad job at consistency. With a new enrollment for 5-Figure Niche Site, I was meeting with like lots of students for a little while, and basically it burned up my mornings. So, okay. But yeah, Leo, I was thinking about you the other day. I was going to shoot you an email. I know you were moving and stuff, so hopefully things are going well. We got here, Nick has a follow-up to guest posting. You've noticed I repeat or reword a lot of the content on those guest posts. You're going deep, and this is niche site project guest post, right? So is it okay to do that rather than write completely new articles? It all depends. Yeah, it all depends. So I hope there's one post in particular, or there's two posts that I hope this is the one you're talking about, Nick. It was like the conversion rate improvement. So one post was like longer and more thorough, and then the other post was a little shorter, a little tighter. The content was different. Like the areas which I emphasized were different, and I didn't like, I probably had some of the same subheadings, but I like emphasized different areas and I had different images in there. So I would say don't do that too often. Like I did that conversion rate thing and it's a good topic. And if I write about conversion rate things again, what I would probably do is pick 3 of the 17. I did like 17 and then 10. If I do anything conversion rate related, I'll probably pick 3 and then go deep on those 3 and then like pick probably just we'll stick with the 3. So I'd do 3 conversion rate tips, and then I would do 3 examples of each of the conversion rates, of each of the techniques or tips from real sites. So like you can slice it and dice it and cover the same thing in different ways and like repurpose it. And in the list where I did 17, well, I could only cover so much information. I could only write like a sentence or 2 for each one. But if I'm covering only 3, well, I could go really deep into it. So I think that's a way that you can sort of shift it. All right, good question. Dennis says, I'm the king of KGR. It's posted on many SEO sites that reference your site. That's cool. I made it up with inputs and help from other people, of course. It's not all originally my idea, but I named it. And even that, my friend Jim, I told him how to figure out this stuff, and he was like, oh, it's like Doug's keyword golden ratio. So like each piece of it is like, I pulled everything together. I copied from many sources, and I think they say that's art. It's not stealing if you take it from tons of different sources. So, all right, Corey says, hi, I have a similar background to you. You're a PM, and you're in tech for nearly 20 years. You found niche site stuff through Pat Flynn. It does sound like my bio. Do I think I would have the success if I wasn't laid off? Partially. I think partially because I got laid off about 2 years ago and I had figured out some stuff. Now, I will say that my focus, first, it got much worse, to be honest with you. It got much worse right after I got laid off because I thought, hey, I need to make money. I need to, check out this services business that I'm thinking of starting. And I worked on that for like 9 months and I didn't like it much. I'll probably talk about that someday more in depth. And then I had some niche sites that I was like, oh, they're kind of doing okay, but I really need to ramp them up. It's not full-time income. I need to figure out what to do. And then, of course, I had Niche Site Project, which takes a lot of time to run an internet marketing blog. It takes a lot of time to do that, and if you try and do a good job. But your real question, do I think I would have had the success if I wasn't laid off? I don't think, like this year, I don't think so, because it took me about a year to get my bearings. Things were improving, but over the last 12 months, like my income has grown a lot, and it's now like exceeded what I could have made. Probably, Corey, honestly, if I would have stayed in the same company and kept working there for another 20 or 25 years, I probably wouldn't be making what I am now. So if you think about that, like if you think, hey, I could hit the director level, like what are those VPs making? Like they're making a lot. Like I have some good friends that have stuck it out at, consulting companies that I've been at. They make really good money, but they're dealing with the same politics and stuff, and that never goes away. They're dealing with the same, hassles and meetings and wasted time throughout their day. And I think entrepreneurship is probably the only way you could like skip many years and even exceed like what those folks are making and shape your own day. So yeah, being laid off actually helped. So that's the total answer there. Tom asked, how much on average do I earn per 1,000 visitors? You know what? I'm not really, I'm not sure. I have a real lack of like metrics like at hand. I think Leo actually, Leo actually may know this better than me. Let me do a quick little math real quick. Let me just think for a second. And this will be like ballpark-ish, I think. That doesn't seem right. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the answer to that, Tom. I'm sorry. Should know. Some people know their metrics really well and they have a strong handle on that, but I unfortunately don't. So cool. This is great. We have 15 people on. I shared it in like a Facebook group and then on the Niche Site Project group. So I'm glad people are hopping on. And okay, Nick, the follow-up to the guest post on repetitive topics. Nick said, I didn't mean to imply you were straight copying and pasting. Oh, no worries on that. You understand they were different. Oh yeah, totally cool, Nick. Just repurposing content is definitely a easier thing to do just overall. So if you have the opportunity to, the way I described slicing and dicing it and repackaging it is probably, it's a reasonable way to do it. And Sarah Woot is on, what's up? Brand new site, is 3 weeks old, and the KGR got position 16. Congratulations, that's really cool. How to move it up in the SERPs, any tips? So you should be patient, number one. Your site's only 3 weeks old, so over time, it should actually move up a little bit. That's what I've seen. The thing that you can do is, refer, Sarah Woot is a student of 5-Figure Niche Site, so refer to Unit 6 for the blog commenting and guest posting. And even if you just do blog commenting to get, traffic on that page, like you'll get a little traffic through the blog comments, people will follow the link, they'll go to that post, and you may make a little sale, but the most important thing is you're actually getting traffic on that page from another link, and Google will like that. So if you do that, if you do the blog commenting over the next month, you should see an improvement. It may not be overnight. There's a lot of delays in like the actions you take and the impact on rankings, but over time it'll improve. And honestly, for it to show up at 16 on a 3-week-old site is actually pretty good. So that's super young. And Corey says, herding kittens. Yep, that's what project management is overall. Dennis says, mentions to Sarah Woot to send a few links for sure. And Mohammed, welcome Mohammed. Which link building techniques do I recommend nowadays? So super easy, I keep it really simple. Blog commenting and guest posting. I'll mention for those and the series of like getting that done, like I do recommend like more touch points, like blog comment on the same person's blog 2, 3, 4 times, email them before you ask for the like guest post. You should have a relationship with them. Okay. Tom says, I have a question about Amazon commissions. You sold headphones for $125 and got $5. It seems that Amazon pays out 4%, but it should be 6%. Do I know why? No, I sure don't. My guess would be that specific product was in some category, maybe that you didn't expect, one that pays out at 4%. people can list products in different areas. So maybe like it could be electronics or it could be like fitness. Like someone could list headphones, I think, as like a fitness product if it was fitness oriented. So that may do things. Cool. All right. So Tom, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, cool. So Mohammed now asks, when I'm doing blog commenting, do I go for a specific post or the homepage? Little of both. So I have a video on YouTube, you could search for it, on blog commenting, but basically you should use like a plugin. You should utilize a plugin called Comment Love. So you don't have to install it on your site, but you search for sites that are using Comment Love, and usually you'll be able to get a link back to the post in which you want to get a link back through that. So, okay, Corey asks, if you have 10 sites, 10 niche sites on different items, is it no good to have subpages on those sites pointing to your other niche sites? I would really, not recommend doing that. I mean, if they're relevant, I would maybe link like one link from one site to the other, but I wouldn't want to have any sort of like recognizable pattern. I wouldn't have any like circular connection where like one site is connected to itself if you followed it around. Maybe if you had like a couple, but yeah, I think for me personally, it's not worth the risk, but other people do like much. I mean, you just have to think like how risk tolerant are you? Okay, Nick is asking, when you blog comment, should you be worried about people finding out your website if it's early on? You see people comment on Empire Flippers, and that seems like a bad idea. Not sure though. Oh, I think like if you're, well, you know what? People are going to find your site anyway, honestly. I wouldn't comment on an internet marketing blog with your niche site. People do that sometimes. They do it on my site. They do it on other internet marketing sites. And it's just like, you're not getting a huge amount of value. Like you're never going to be able to like guest post on those sites. So like it doesn't help. And the thing is, if you're approaching like other sites, if you're commenting on other sites that are in your niche, then it's going to make sense for it to be there. People that follow that link will be interested in that topic and stuff. But yeah, like if you're on Empire Flippers or an internet marketing blog, it's kind of silly to do that. And I mean, the thing is, like, you're not gonna like rank your site by doing that. So it's just not super helpful. Mohammed says, do you think items priced between 15 and 30 but have decent volumes of 4,000 to 6,000 for the main keywords are worth building niche sites around? It depends on what your goal is. You know, I think that could work. That's a lot of searches, but it also implies it may be fairly competitive. So it could maybe take longer to rank. So I would be more interested in like, not the main keyword, but like, do you have a bunch of other keywords that you can rank for? Like, do you have a bunch of KGR content? I mean, honestly, I don't even go for searches that high because you've got to get a bunch of links. So I usually kind of avoid those. But reasonable question, Mohammed, reasonable question. I would just make sure you have enough keywords and maybe some other products that are more valuable. So I'm sure there are some niches where like almost all of the products are fairly cheap, and you know, it may be good to have like within a portfolio of sites or like a section on your site. Okay, and then Tom says, you asked about earnings per 1,000 visitors because Spencer Hawes from Niche Pursuits seems to have more than $80 per 1,000, so it seems quite high. Okay, I didn't know what was like any kind of baseline. That does sound a little high. Let me check really quick again, because like I said, I had like some idea based on traffic off the top of my head. Okay, it looks like mine per 1,000 visitors. Okay, hold on. I need to remove a 0 here. Now I don't even know what I'm calculating here. Okay, hold on. Doesn't seem right either. Yeah, you know what? So earnings, that's the earnings per 1,000 visitors. Yeah, mine looks like it looks like 73 cents per 1,000 visitors, but I have no like handle on that. And like on Spencer's site, it could actually be like the site where he has like an FBA component too. And again, like I'm just trying to remember how much traffic I have on this one site and then like the revenue, which I mean, I think the revenue is reasonable, but honestly, on one of my sites, the traffic's pretty high, and I know like I'm actually targeting a lot of like lower priced items, like some are just a few bucks. So there are some higher priced items, but there's some lower priced items too. And the impact is just overall like it's not quite as high as obviously if I was selling like everything was $100, I'd be making a lot more. But it's a good. I'm happy with it. I'll put it that way. I'm happy with it. So. But Tom, I think maybe that is high to know. At one point, Leo actually asked a few questions about this, these metrics, and he actually had like a much better handle on like what was good and what wasn't. So okay, cool. It looks like the questions are slowing down just a tad. We've been at it for a little over 30 minutes, but what else do we have? What other questions are out there? Okay, Dennis is mentioning some good data here. So 2,300 unique visitors per month. Those are, or sorry, yeah, 2,300 unique visitors and then 1,300 clicks to Amazon. And that's $350. So that seems good. Let's see. So that is 2.3 thousand. It's tough doing math in front of people. So 2.3 thousand, and you made 350. So it's 350 divided by 2.3. That's $152. Okay. So if my site made this much with, yeah, I'm getting like a much lower much lower earnings per visitor, but I do get quite a bit of traffic on the site. So okay, any other questions? Any other questions? I think I may smoke some stuff this weekend. I may smoke, I don't know, pork butt could be good. I did have pork last week though. Oh, you know what? One of my good friends, he has a smoker that he just gave me. It's like a Weber Smoky Mountain. It's like the bullet style. It's like the kettle grill except like longer. And I haven't fired it up. So the advantage, like one of the advantages, you could like heat that smoker up pretty well, just throw some charcoal in the bottom, and it goes from there. I think I may smoke some chickens. Like chicken's pretty cheap. I can buy a couple whole chickens and then, you know, maybe share one with a friend. All right, it looks like all the questions are done. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll fill a little bit more time here. So yeah, chicken, it cooks faster rather than the long smoke of a pork butt. You know, that'll take like, I think the last one I did, I smoked it for like 16 hours or something. You just put it on the night before and then it's ready. But the chicken, you know, you only have to smoke that for like an hour or two, maybe a couple hours. All right, the questions have stopped. Thanks everyone for joining. If you're not, by the way, if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel. And I think when you do that, you can like click the little bell and then you'll get alerts when I go live. So I am going to try and do 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is, I guess, noon Eastern, and I guess Pacific, that's 9 a.m. Pacific time. So I'm going to try and stick with that for the next week. Hopefully that'll go well. And we'll see you next time. I see Rohan made it on. What's up? All right, yeah, thanks everyone. Tom and Dennis and Nick, David, Sarah Woot, Corey. Cool. All right, we'll see you next time. Have a good weekend. Oh, okay. We got one more question from Mohammed. What would you do in terms of SEO if one of your niche site seems to be moving up? Consider the niche too competitive. Okay, it's kind of hard to answer, Mohammed, but basically you should look at on-page and off-page SEO. So on-page, look at word count, analyze your competition, see what that is like. And then off-page, analyze your competition, look at the number of backlinks they have, the type of links, their anchor text ratio, all that stuff. Most, like 99% of the time, you need more backlinks. Like that's usually the answer. And as far as like competition and how competitive it is, like you should have a pretty good idea of that before you like get started with your site or the specific keyword. So you should have an idea based on the analysis that I mentioned before. If you didn't do that ahead of time, you can like go check, and then usually it's better to like just move on than to try to like, you know, push a boulder uphill. Like if you don't have the I mean, really, if you don't have like the grit to stick with like building links for like a year and a half before you're gonna like take a big move forward, like if you don't have that like interest level, it's probably better to like stop going after that one, look for lower competition keywords, and you'll be better off. Okay, Mohammed is flowing with the questions. What's the content structure you recommend? Are you a member of my email list, Mohammed? There's this cool page that I have that has like the format of the structure. So, oh, and I guess you're asking about the overall architecture of the site. I usually, let's see, I was looking at what Mohammed recommended. So what's the recommended content structure? Main page plus review pages for the products plus 4 or 5 info posts. You know what? Sure, that sounds fine overall, but it doesn't necessarily like have to be that. So it's really up to you. I usually just have a whole bunch of posts. So, but again, it's up to you on how you want to structure your site. I don't really have like a main page. I have like a normal landing page like a website would have. And then from there, it's basically a bunch of review posts. So that's kind of the way I run it. Hopefully that answers your question. And it looks like I lost my chat window here for a second, so I'm trying to get it back. All right, it's refreshing. I think I accidentally closed the window, so just hanging out here for a second while everything comes through. And by the way, like, I think that I was reading the Seth Godin book, and he talks about a lot of concepts. It's called the Icarus Deception. Talks about a lot of concepts and talks about a lot of like ideas. I think it was like 3/4 of the way through the book, he says, you know what, you'll notice this book doesn't have any specific tactics. It doesn't have like the exact formula on what to do, because if everyone just followed the formula, it wouldn't exactly work right. Like, you have to figure out your own path. Now, I do try and lay out systems and give you specific things to do, but the thing is, as far as the structure of the site, there's like a million ways to do it, and there's no like one right way. Like, you can structure sites with the opposite of what I said, and it may work fine. So just, whatever works right for you is probably what you should go for. Okay, then Rohan asks how to do backlink outreach for Amazon niche sites. There's a whole webinar on that, so I'll direct you to my channel and do a search for, the SEO plan for niche sites. That's one of them. There's another one that is more around outreach and why people fail at outreach and a better way to do it. So I'll refer you to those, Rohan. Sarah says, once you get the traffic and earnings where you like it, is it reasonable to transition using the blog for other stuff, a lifestyle blog that participates in influencer marketing? Yeah, definitely. And that actually would bring like more like legitimacy to your site anyway. If you have like that, if you have like more traffic, like it feels real. Like, that's even better. So, okay, cool. I'll answer one more question and then we'll kill it. My voice is starting to die. So one more question if anyone has one. And then if you do have other questions, just leave a comment in this video, not in the chat, but leave a comment, and then I'll answer it sometime next week. So I won't ignore it, but I gotta go, basically. So as I'm waiting for this last question, I'll tell you next week, and probably the next week after that, I'm not sure how many weeks it's gonna go, I'm gonna talk about content. So one of the biggest things I get questions on, or one of the most common questions is a better way to say it, is content. How to format it, the overall site layout, like Mohammed was asking, how long content should be, how to hire someone from Upwork. What if you don't speak English? What if it's not your first language? How do you hire someone and know that you're getting good content? How do you just work with freelancers? What do you do when you hire them? What do you do when you fire them? And scaling, right? So how do you build a team? What would a content manager do for you? Like, what's the checklist? So those are questions that or at least some of those questions are things that I'm going to answer over the next couple weeks. I'll probably do, there'll be some blog content coming out. There'll be webinars and just the normal stuff that we do. I'm going to try and just keep a tight focus on content until I'm sick of it. All right. Okay. Mohammed says, this is the last question. Okay. And if you have more questions, ask in the comments, not in the chat, and then I'll see you later. If you have a niche website which is aged about 1.5 years and you recently added a best of page and it sits on the 3rd page of the SERPs, I want to scale it to target more keywords, but you had to use Fiverr links on it in its beginning days. So what would you do? Go or no go? Okay, so there's a niche site, it's a 1.5 years old, and you use Fiverr links on it. So what would I do? I would probably look at the niche and figure out if you like want to stick with those keywords, right? If you do, you should probably stick with that site. You should do, I mean, you need to do like a risk assessment. Like you have the ability to go check all the backlinks that are going to that site. You can disavow those links if you don't want them anymore, and then start fresh. So if you want to disavow those links, your rankings may go down. Like those links may actually be doing something. I don't know. And you can leave them if you want to, and then start building on the site, and then maybe you just leave them and you start getting other links that are better. You get those other links that are better, and at some point, hopefully, those bad links from Fiverr are going to be a smaller percentage of the overall links, and that may be okay. So hopefully that helps, Mohammed. But yeah, I think you should take a look at the backlinks, see how bad they are, and know that if you keep the links, there could be some risk. If you keep adding new links that are better, that reduces the risk. If you look at the backlinks and you see that you want to disavow them, and you disavow them, your rankings may go down. So I would have a game plan on that, and have an understanding, like, you know, are you a risky individual? Like, does it matter if you work on this site for a year, you start making $500 a month, and then it's penalized somehow? Like, is that okay with you, or would you rather have it be a little safer? So, okay, I got a jet for today. I see Team Pixels just hopped on, but I got a jet. Thanks for joining. If you do have questions, just leave them in the comments, and have a good weekend. And I'll see you on Monday. Bye.